Yo, what's up, guys? It's been a while since I've uploaded a video on my channel. I know Pokemon is boring right now. I rarely get on Scarlet and Violet anymore because it's just a boring ass game, to be honest. And until we get more news about future Pokemon games that might be interesting or exciting, it's gonna be a drought, and will continue to be a drought. But anyways, we're gonna react to some news that happened just a few days ago. So apparently, a top VGC player goes by the name of LJ Darkrai, who participated in a Brazilian VGC tournament in San Paulo. Basically, he got disqualified after a random judge did a random check and decided, you know what, you're out, you're gone. So here's what happens. So he has a video going over about the rules and exactly what's going on here. He's trying to justify why he should not have gone banned. But here's a summary overall. So the player actually went 6-1, so he was a top player when a random check happened. The head judge decided to disqualify him with the reason, and this is a pretty key detail, with the reasoning of having multiple Ogerpon with the same trainer ID on his battle box. The issue arises when the rules use, as an example, illegal OT and nicknames on the battle team, specifically because event Pokemon such as Ash's Pikachu can have those with fixed values, making something different clearly illegal. I agree to a certain extent. Okay. LJ Darkrai did not have those Pokemon on his battle team. He couldn't even do that because you can't put the same Pokemon twice on the team. They were found on his battle box, which was never mentioned on the rules, especially as the battle box teams can't even be used on the tournament anyways outside of his battle team. Okay. Moreover, trainer ID doesn't prove a Pokemon is illegal. I disagree. We'll talk more into that. While very unlikely, a captured Pokemon can have the same OT and TID even if they come from different games, as the TID is generated offline. Very, very unlikely, but okay. Again, it's not likely to happen, but it should never be used as proof of something illegal, as it can happen randomly offline on completely normal games. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on here, but the reason why a lot of people in the thread, and I actually was reading the thread, and I do have some comments from Kphonics, who's one of the developers of PikaHex. People are going into it here and saying, like, the reason why he's being treated unfairly or got disqualified unfairly because the Pokemon he was using are not cheated or illegally genned or whatever, but Pokemon that he wasn't even using, that's what got him kicked out. I think it should be based on Pokemon he's currently using in the tournament, not from Pokemon that he's not using. There is a little bit of leeway there because I personally believe that if he's using a team that's legit throughout the tournament, he should be fine. Now, I'm not really deep into the VGC scene like that. I'm not sure whether a random check is technically allowed, especially when you're already 7 matches in. But I digress. So the other key major detail here is having multiple Ogerpons with the same trainer ID and having the same OT. They don't really disclose that. It says right here, while very unlikely, this very unlikely, having the same OT and trainer ID is, I don't know what the exact odds are, but they're in the trillions at this point. They're basically beyond reality, beyond real odds, because having 2 games generating different trainer IDs and having them match is just insane values right there. And then of course having the same name. Oh yeah, if you name your player in 2 different games, sure, that's fine. That's completely fine. It's just the train ID having the same value is where the things really lie. Now, if they didn't talk about trainer ID here, there's not an issue with the same OT. That's completely fine. Especially, with event Pokemon, they discuss it here. An event Pokemon cannot have its trainer ID nor its OT changed because that's not how it came. That basically is a big, gigantic red flag for something illegally going on. And my thing is, and Kphonics actually talks more about it. He's one of the developers again as PK Hex development team, and he basically describing what I'm trying to say. Having the same OT name is not what happened here. It's having the same OT as well as trainer ID. He talks about it's a basically 1 in trillion odds, basically beyond reasonable odds that you can even have something like that happening. It's clear evidence of cheating, and we likely do not know all the details because we only know what the player has disclosed. Judging from the video, there's likely a ton of generated mons on his team and his boxes. So it's not too surprising that he was DQ'd and given an example reason. There's likely more to why the judge disqualified, but they do not disclose that. So, again, perhaps the head judge decided to use reasonable suspicion in thinking, well, wait a minute, if you have allegedly cloned Ogre Pawns on your team with the same OT and the same trainer ID, what makes me believe the team you're actually using in VGC is actually 100% legitimate? That could be true. Now, again, if he's not using those Pokemon, it's kind of tough to accuse someone of that unless the Pokemon themselves have been cloned, have been used through PK Hex. My issue here is, have y'all not learned your lesson when Pokemon Worlds happened, the past iteration of Pokemon Worlds? Y'all remember what happened when a huge amount of players got disqualified at Worlds for having illegitimate Pokemon? I don't understand why you guys keep doing this. Look, here's the thing. I understand there's a grind aspect when it comes to VGC because you have to create the perfect team with the right IVs, with the correct amount of EVs, with the right movesets, and grinding PP ups and PP maxes and all that stuff, having the right ability, having the correct Pokeballs, because that shouldn't be really much of a problem. But I get it. I get the frustration when it comes to VGC. The accessibility is there over the years. Game Freak has decided to put in more and more stuff to make it more convenient to have battle ready Pokemon for VGC. But you gotta understand something, and I've always stressed about this every single time. If you're gonna compete in any sort of officially sanctioned VGC Pokemon tournament, event, whatever, try to make your Pokemon legitimate as possible. You cannot just get DQ'd and start crying, like, oh, I was treated unfairly because, I had this in my box and all that stuff. I'm not saying this person in general has cheated. There's a very likely chance he might have some legitimate or illegitimate Pokemon because they have the same OT and TID. That's what screwed him over. Is the judge in the right for having that kind of reasonable suspicion? Sure. They kind of do. I kind of wish if they're going to do a check like that, however, that check should have been implemented at team submission, which is strange. But in team submission, they don't check your boxes. They check your actual team that you're going to be using for the tournament. Now, I'm not sure what's the motivation behind the random check because, again, there has to be some sort of reasoning, or probably the judge knew what was going on, which that'd be a crazy plot twist. But you just have to be careful. You really have to be careful. Don't give anyone reasonable suspicion to believe that you are using some sort of software and, creating illegal Pokemon or just doing dumb stuff with Pokemon that may not be on your team because, again, it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain this, but it's kind of like, hey, I bought this car, but it was stolen. It was stolen from someone, and you didn't do your due diligence in checking whether to see this car, you made a legitimate purchase of this car. Something like that. I know I'm terrible with real life comparisons, but, that's just a little example I like to give out when it comes to something like this. And I really think that if you are a very dedicated VGC player, just stop stop cheating, bro. Or just stop caught stop getting caught cheating. Jesus, that was hard to enunciate. Because first of all, it's a terrible look, especially for a VGC player who potentially has sponsorships on the line, prize money's on the line, trips to nationals, trips to intercontinentals, and worlds. Eventually, is the granddaddy of them all. Just stop. Just stop, bro. We've made videos. We've made videos of PK Hex and how it works. We understand the grind of BGC. If you're trying to get help from somebody, make sure that help is a really good person who is not trying to screw you over in the long term. Make sure you understand how things work. I feel like a lot of the VGC players don't understand how PK Hex works and how they cause legality issues when it comes to team checks. Every minute detail is, put under a microscope. You have to be very careful. Whether it's the OT, the trainer ID, the memories of the Pokemon, the ribbons, the type of Pokeball, where it came from, the origin game, the moves in itself, or whether it's the total amount of EVs that give it away. All that is now being placed again under a microscope because the Pokemon Company is now looking at all this stuff. It used to be in the past, we don't care. As long as this Pokemon, fits up the legal parameters of the game, there's nothing wrong with it. And I feel like this time, the Pokemon Company is starting to really care about this kind of stuff. And now they're starting to implement these team checks and random checks out of nowhere to ensure there's purity in the game, which clearly there isn't if everyone keeps doing this kind of stuff. So I don't know what my overall message would be here because I do think maybe the judge is in the wrong for having a random check, and there has to be some sort of reasoning as to why, and whether or not his reasonable suspicion of seeing Pokemon not being used that are, let's face it, they're probably illegal Pokemon because they were cloned, and he or she probably thought, hey, if I see illegal Pokemon in your battle boxes, most likely your team you're using is probably not good. Now, I read somewhere that the team checks not only occurs for the team checks, the actual team itself, but actually your save file. If they can check your save file if they want to see if anything weird is going on. And there's been instances in VGC where weird things have been going on. Just like a person who may not have unlocked terrestrialization yet, their Pokemon has terrestrializing types. That's weird. But just stop getting caught cheating. Just stop. It's just getting ridiculous now. If you're gonna, complain about why you got DQ'd, just ask yourself, what should I have done to prevent this from happening? Just don't give anyone any reasoning, or don't give anyone any suspicion to give you a DQ. Now, I know VGC, it comes down to skill, it comes down to a little bit of luck. That's what separates great players from the legendary players in VGC. Whether they gen their Pokemon or not, I'm not there to judge them. I don't really care. But if you're going to keep crying about, cheating being allowed in VGC and, it's okay as long as the parameters is there, they suffice, their legality, that's cool. But, if you get caught, then none of that really matters because you did something poor. AKA people like K-Phonics who are heavily invested into those kind of projects. They'll know. They'll tell you, perhaps we should see a team paste or rental code of this team, and then they'll let you know what's up. That'll be quite funny. And people are not afraid to, judge stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, look, man, I've told this story many times. If you're going to compete in VGC, you have to do it legitimately. I know it's tough. I know it takes a lot of hours, a lot of grinding, especially if this isn't like your livelihood. It's freaking tough. But you just have to be pure about it. You can't think that you're gonna get away with everything because something will happen. Just be true to yourself. Play the game normally. Play it legitimately. If you get caught, that sucks, man. It sucks. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own actions. But let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comment section. Um, I like to know your guys' opinion whether the judge made the correct decision. Were they in the right to make a random check? And was their reasoning of disqualifying this player really a good reason? Let me know. It's your boy Franklin signing out. Peace.